What's good, YouTube? It's your boy AJ coming back at y'all with another One Piece video. This week we're on break, so I kind of wanted to take this chance in this little intermission we have from chapter 1010 to make a top 10 video. Last chapter, chapter 1010, revealed a lot, especially when it pertains to Conqueror's Haki, and I feel like it's kind of flipped the power scaling on its head slightly. And honestly, if I can be honest, the rooftop in general has kind of flipped the power scaling on its head for me personally these last 10 or so chapters. So yeah, before we get into the top 10, I want to clarify it by, kind of setting some criteria. So basically with this top 10, only live characters, so no characters like Roger, Whitebeard, Odin. Those characters, they're part of another list I'll make another time of all time top 10. Another thing, I don't have Emu on this list because we just don't know. I'm gonna be real with you, it's hard to scale that. Last thing, important to remember, this is my list. This is how I see the story. If you have a problem with it, make your own list or just shut up. And with that being said, I'm going to mention some honorable mentions. I feel the need to mention honorable mentions because I feel like these characters, though they didn't make the cut, they're still extremely top, they're still extremely strong top tier characters. Shouldn't be slept on. I don't think anybody in the top 10 is just watching these characters. Alright, so for the first honorable mentions, I'm going to throw in the 3 current admirals. When I say 3, I'm referring to Kizaru, Green Bull, and Fujitora, not Akainu. While I feel like these characters are definitely top tier characters and they're admirals, they just didn't make the cut from the top 10 I was doing. Not like I said though, I don't think anybody in the top 10 is watching these people. They just didn't make the cut. And I honestly think what these characters have going against them slightly, just a little slightly, more so in the case of Kizaru and Fujitora, we haven't seen Green Bull at all, is we've seen them fighting characters who I would say are like a tier below them. We've seen Kizaru going at it with Marco, who actually no, Marco is actually pretty strong. I'll say Marco is probably one on the stronger end of first mates. But Marco, we seen his clash with Big Mom. He's not on that level. Now I definitely think Kizaru was stronger than Marco, but you get what I'm saying. And we also seen him going at it with old Rayleigh. So that's another reason why they honorable mentions. I also have another honorable mention, and that is Ben Beckman. Personally speaking, I don't know about y'all, but I believe that Ben Beckman is just the strongest right hand. I feel like the portrayal's been that. I think it was chapter 957 when the Marines acknowledged that Shanks has like a very well-rounded, strong crew. Oda came out, and I think it was SBS or something, where he said Ben Beckman is the moon to Shanks' son, which I don't really know what that means. My interpretation of that is he's strong. I don't know. He's strong, and we had his interaction with Kizaru too. And like I said, I think Shanks has the best well-rounded crew out of any of the Yonkos. And I think his right hand is, head and shoulders above the rest of the other right hand. Anyways, without further ado, let's just get right into the top 10. Alrighty, at number 10, this is gonna be a controversial one. I have Sabo. Now listen, hear me out, because y'all probably going crazy. Sabo over all the admirals, Sabo over Ben Beckman. Yes. Now, a few story arcs ago in Dressrosa, this wouldn't have been the case. But the portrayal of Sabo is still parallel with Luffy and Ace. And he has some of the highest potential in the series. And I don't know if y'all realize it or not, but we're approaching the end of the series. And Sabo just went head-to-head with some of these admirals at Mary Jo. He's still getting used to his devil fruit, so understand that, once he masters that devil fruit, he's definitely going to be top 5. And then, we honestly, we just don't know what happened at at Mary Jo with that interaction he had with Fujitora and Green Bull. Now, me personally, I like to believe that Sabo, his squad that he brought with him, Morley, the scientist dude, was Bella Betty with him? No, she wasn't with him. But yeah, those Ravs he bought with him, they weren't that impressive. So who do you think was holding it down versus the admirals? And we seen Fujitora bandaged up. I'm just saying. And then on top of that, we know that Sabo has next level hockey as well. Sabo was a right hand man before he ever got a devil fruit. Think about that. Imagine if freaking somebody like Marco got, I don't know, crazy hockey boost. How much tiers he would go. So yeah, that's why I have Sabo at 10. Number 9, maybe another controversial one. I don't know, but without further ado, number 9 is Monkey D. Luffy. Man, Luffy been looking good on that rooftop. I can't even lie to y'all. A couple months ago, Luffy was definitely not in my top 10. He was like top 15 range, but definitely not top 10. But after the last chapter, with him learning how to cope Conqueror's Haki, and he looks like he's about to try to fight Kaido one-on-one, he's definitely moving up on that list. And I think with last chapter, for me personally, put him ahead of Sabo with the whole Conqueror's Haki thing, because I don't believe Sabo has Conqueror's Haki. He might, but he doesn't. I don't believe so. There hasn't been any indication that he has it either. So that's a leg up he has on Sabo in that aspect. And another thing to note is that in this arc, Wano, Luffy's been training, which he doesn't usually do. The only training he had before this was the 2-year time skip. But with that being said, we all know that Luffy has the fastest progression rate in the series. Wait a minute, nope, that's debatable, because a few other characters on this I would argue, and then that it's been implied that they progress just as fast as him. One in particular of mine, who's actually gonna be later on the list, and I'll get that at the end. But yeah, with that being said, Luffy at 9. At number 8, I have Aokiji. Man, oh man, where do I start with this character? This character was actually tough to gauge, because we all know he went 10 days with Akainu, which he did lose. Some people would say he fought at a disadvantage. Other people would argue that. At this point, I'm not sure. I don't think Oda was taking that into account. But yeah, Aokiji. Aokiji has, if you want to be real, he has some of the craziest feats in the series. Don't forget, when this dude first showed up, he froze the whole sea. And then on top of that, he froze in Marineford, he froze Whitebeard's 2 tsunamis too. Like, this dude has some crazy feats. And we know he's working with Blackbeard right now. But from a portrayal standpoint, I always viewed him and Akainu as the admirals that were slightly above guys like Kizaru, Fujitora, and Green Bull. They've, so far to me, just been the most impressive ones. Now, I know we haven't seen what Aokiji can do armament hockey-wise. We haven't seen much of that, but that's just because we haven't seen much of him post-time skip. I just believe this is where he sits in the story right now. We know he's working with Blackbeard, and I know some people argue that since he lost a leg, he's gotten weaker. I don't believe that, but yeah, Aokiji at number 8. Oh, another thing I have to specify, I didn't make this known. I feel like from about 9, 8 up, all these dudes can go high diff with each other. What I mean by that, I feel like Aokiji at 8, he can go high diff with the person that I have at the top of the list, and vice versa. And then depending on the matchup, he can beat certain people that might be ahead of him just because of matchups. That's another thing I should have said. But anyways, at number 7, we have World's Strongest Swordsman, Dracula Mihawk. Man, where do I start with this guy? First off, let me say this. Mihawk isn't somebody who has crazy feats, but he definitely has crazy portrayal in the sense of he's the world's strongest swordsman. Now, some people will argue, what's a swordsman? Like, is Shanks a swordsman? Is Big Mom a swordsman? People like that. And if he's the strongest out of all of them, how strong is he? Me, I don't consider those characters necessarily swordsmen or swordswomen, whatever you want to call it. They just use swords. It's kind of there's a difference. That's how I categorize that. But yeah, Mihawk, we can presume that he probably has, based on his name and portrayal, some of the best observation hockey in the series. And then if he's the world's strongest swordsman, you know that armament hockey got to be top tier. I personally don't believe he has Conqueror's Haki. He doesn't seem like he has Conqueror's Haki. That's really what's holding him back in this stand, and I think that's what separates Shanks from him, is Conqueror's Haki. But man, Dracula Mihawk, portrayal wise, world's strongest swordsman, I can't put him no less than number 7. At number 6, and I know this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna upset a lot of people because a lot of people have this guy a lot higher than I do. But at number 6, I have Dragon. Now hear me out before y'all throw a fit about this one. Dragon is definitely strong. I just don't think he's top 5 strong. I don't have him over any of the Yonko at the moment. And it's mainly, you know, he's kind of hard to scale, to be perfectly honest with you. Let's be real here, he is, because he can be, I can see the case where people say he's like the strongest in the verse. But the way I see it, I don't necessarily see it as that, just because his showing just hasn't been as good as it should be to me. You know, for like, I was kind of disappointed that the man didn't go to Mary Jo's and stuff like that. But nonetheless, he's still strong as hell. I think he's a win Logia. Let me say that. I think that's the most common thing that's been hinted at. He's a win Logia. And with that being said, if he is, that's a pretty crazy fruit to have. But there's just a few reasons I can't have him above the characters above him. Just portrayal reason wise, the way I see the story. And I'm going to elaborate on that more when I get to these certain characters. But yeah, that being said, Monkey D. Dragon, Monster, World's Most Dangerous Man. Y'all know what it is. I do think he is in that young, like I said, he is in that top tier, and he could probably, depending on the matchup, beat somebody ahead of him. But generally speaking, I have him at number 6. At number 5, this was another character that was hard to rank. Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard. What makes Blackbeard hard to rank is because we just don't know where this guy is at right now. Power-wise, like, he could be the strongest. I don't think so, but you can make the case because he's had two. First off, he has a Yami Yami no Mi, the Darkness fruit. And then he has a Whitebeard's Quake fruit, and he's had 2 years to master that fruit. Now, of course, I don't expect him to be as good as Whitebeard was with it, but he, you know, that fruit has some of the highest potential in the series. But with that being said, why he's at 5 for me is really mainly based on what we've been getting with Haki lately. His Haki just seems to be lacking, and Haki seems very essential if you want to be a top tier fighter in One Piece. And he's very Devil Fruit heavy right now, and that's probably, ultimately speaking, by the end of the series, going to be his downfall. Is his Haki game just isn't up to par with, you know, guys ahead of him. But like I said, you can't sleep on those 2 Devil Fruits, and you know, it's been highly speculated for years that he might get a 3rd one. So we'll see how everything plays out. But yeah, I got Mr. Blackbeard Edward D. Teach at number 5. All right, now we're at the top 4. We're getting closer and closer to that number 1. And at number 4, I have Charlotte Lin Big Mom. Yeah. Big Mom is a monster, and we've been knowing this for a long time now, for years now, really. We've known she's a monster, but really what makes Big Mom really impressive for me is how versatile she is. This lady's fruit, I think she just has the widest range of things she can do because of that fruit power. Like, Big Mom arguably has the strongest fruit in the series. Like, if you want to be real, and you could argue with her application of it and everything, but it's just like, that fruit is crazy. But then on top of that, you know, she's naturally strong, and we know that she has that top tier Haki. Like, this lady is a monster, and her showing on the rooftop, especially at the beginning, was very, very impressive. Like, Big Mom was throwing thunderbolts, lightning beams, all types of stuff going crazy all over the place. And man, don't forget she got the Elbaf spear. This lady's a monster, man. She's been this way for years, so you can't sleep on her. A lot of people sleep on Big Mom because, you know, Oda gives her the short end of the stick in the character department. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes she gets fondled, and, you know, Jinbei flipped her and Robin rolled her over. A little goofy stuff does happen to her. She's played off in comedic ways a little too much, in my opinion. But at the same time, don't sleep on Big Mom. This lady is a monster. Alrighty, top 3. And at number 3, and this was a big one for me, y'all, but I had to think about it. Kaido. And this was tough for me because, honestly, Kaido's my favorite Yonko. And for years, I thought Kaido was top 1. And, you know, depending on what day you catch me waking on, you catch me up. Well, depending on the day I wake up on, I might say he's top 1, but as right now, I have him at 3. Mainly for the simple fact, last chapter, and really the rooftop in general, has changed my perception of him a little bit. So, you know, the portrayal-wise and everything we got from the narrator and from Oda been telling us, you know, 1v1, bet on Kaido, strongest creature. You know, they've been putting him at the top. But we've seen a couple times that Kaido looks up to some people in this verse. Kaido admires people for their strength, and there's people that he even looks up to. And the rooftop really just kind of showed me that Kaido and Big Mom, there's not really that big of a separation between those two. They're kind of like the same. Like, honestly, before the last 2 chapters, I would have said that Big Mom was looking more impressive than Kaido. But he gets the nod from me just because of portrayal over Big Mom. That's the separation of those two. And like I said, he does have the world's strongest creature title for a reason. But this rooftop has changed my perception of him just slightly. Like I said, he's still top 3, he's still strong as hell. And like I said earlier, I could wake up tomorrow and say, oh, he's top 1. But right now, the way I'm viewing the story, he's top 3. And then on top of that, Luffy's about to have a 1v1 fight with him. At least that's what it seems like Oda's setting up. Now, Luffy's way lower on the list, but in Kaido, and I don't think Luffy's stronger than Kaido right now. But it's more so they've already done a lot of damage to Kaido. And, you know, Luffy's just kind of going to be finishing off, even though Kaido's done a lot of damage to Luffy, too, if you want to be fair. But it's just kind of weird. I don't see, like, the top guy in the verse getting taken out right now. You know, it could happen. Because, you know, there is people who think Marineford Whitebeard was the top guy in the verse at the time. I don't think that. But, you know, it could happen. That's what I'm saying. But, yeah, Kaido at number 3. Alright, now we're to the top 2. And I know whenever I say who's at number 2, everybody's gonna know who's number 1. Just because of deduction. But anyways, and it's gonna be a controversial one if y'all, or if this list isn't already controversial enough. But at number 2, I have Akainu Sakazuki. Let me start this off by saying, some of y'all probably done clicked off the video because that sounded outrageous, y'all, but a lot of people, for whatever reason, sleep on this man. I don't know why. Oda literally beats it over your head that this dude is another. He ain't regular. He's a different breed. First off, Oda said if Akainu was the main character of the series would be over in a year. He ain't said that about nobody else. But then on top of that, he said Akainu, and I think Whitebeard too, had the most destructive fruits in the series. And another thing that I feel like people forget, Akainu, as far as we know, not including Emu or something, he's the strongest character in the world government. Now, I don't think people understand what the world government is. The world government is the strongest singular entity in One Piece. There is no single organization, group as powerful as the world government. There just isn't. They control most of the world for a reason. They don't control the new world, but they control all the other seas. And with that being said, I think the guy who reigns at the top of them has to be at least top 3. For example, like, I think most people would agree that Garp in his prime was probably top 3 living at the time. Why can't it be the same for Akainu? And this guy his portrayal is just crazy. And then on top of that, what Akainu has going for him right now and especially this is the case over, like, say, Blackbeard. Akainu, as far as we know, it's being set up, he looks like he might be Luffy's final fight. And that says a lot, personally speaking. Like, that's really a lot right there. You know, Whitebeard had said in Marineford that somebody's gonna find the One Piece and then challenge the world government to the war. Well, who's the head of the world government, at least power-wise, is Akainu. But like I said, the wild card in that is Emu. We don't know how strong Emu is and if Emu's a fighter. And then I know another thing is a lot of people think that Luffy's not even going to fight Akainu. It's going to be Sabo, which I can see that happening. If that's the case, then, you know, things will be able to tweak. But as right now, based on portrayal alone, and feats though, because another thing, Akainu, a lot of people like to bring up the whole Whitebeard Marineford thing. First off, let me say this. I think Akainu's gotten stronger since Marineford. That's one thing. But they like to bring the Whitebeard stuff up. But I believe, in my honest opinion, Akainu won that exchange. Yes, he got slammed into the earth and got, you know, kind of taking out the story for a couple chapters, but once he blew half of that, man, face off, Whitebeard was a dead man walking to me. So yeah, y'all, Akainu #2. And with that being said, we're at top 1, and you already know who it is. I haven't said his name yet, but it's Shanks. Now let me say this, man. Shanks, these last 10 chapters of Wano, starting from chapter 1000 to we're at 1010 right now, with this rooftop stuff, Shanks has been climbing up that list only because, first off, Kaido gassed him kind of, because he was in that panel that Kaido had of people, you know, he kind of views as strong, and people that we had confirmed, that is confirmed that they can hurt him. Shanks was in there with Roger, Whitebeard, and Odin, and Rocks. There's that going for him, and he's the hockey master. Now, what I didn't like about Shanks being #1 in the past was I just didn't see an ally of Luffy, or what we perceive to be a good guy like Shanks or Dragon, people of that nature. I just honestly didn't see them being the strongest. Like, that just didn't make sense to me. And I'm still kind of conflicted on it, if I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't know how Oda's gonna do all this. I don't know if Shanks is gonna die and if Blackbeard's gonna kill him. That's another thing about Blackbeard, and I didn't say this when I got to Blackbeard. Blackbeard's gonna climb up this list. He is. He's gonna keep climbing this list. I can make this list 3 years from now, and we're out of Wano doing something else, and Blackbeard is top 1 or top 2. It can happen that way. But what Shanks has going for him is hockey. He's a hockey master, and hockey's been getting gassed for this whole arc, but specifically these last 10 rooftop chapters, from the Colton Conquerors hockey, which, from as far as we know, Shanks has the strongest Conquerors hockey in the series, let alone the strongest hockey in general. And right now, I got hockeys over Devil Fruit. So yeah, that being said, the hockey master Shanks has to be #1 on this list. And there we have it, y'all. My top 10, man. I did honorable mentions. I did it all. Top 10. Let me know what y'all think, man. This was a blast to make. This was actually harder than I thought it would be, man. And I can make this list tomorrow and come up with a totally different list. That's how crazy it is. Like I said, I think all of these characters I named, they all are having pretty tough mid to high diff fights with each other. I would say from 8 onwards, they're high diff fights. You know, guys like Luffy and Sabo and the other admirals and Ben Beckman, they're like mid diffs for everybody on this list. But like I said, this is top tier. It's hard to rank. That's my list. Give me y'all list. Drop them down in the comment section. Make videos. It's your boy AJ. I'm about it.